Welcome back to Greece.
It's day 5 of our mid-experience sailing trip, and we've really been enjoying ourselves.
It feels like that's taken a very long time to get to day 5, and I mean that in a way as in like it has just been so chill that the days are feeling really long and like slow and enjoyable.
It's really nice and relaxing. You can kind of do as much or as little as you want, and we've been choosing the little option.
There definitely have been times when we've been doing the little, haven't we?
So we've both been to Greece before, and neither of us have been to any places that we've actually been sailing to places that we've never even heard of, and seeing water so clear that it compares to like the Philippines.
It's blowing me away, especially when you see it from the drone as well. It's like, wow, it really like puts in perspective, doesn't it?
It's mind-blowing.
Speaking of mind-blowing, coffees we keep having here, they are absolutely amazing. The Freddo cappuccino, milky and creamy and really strong and bitter as well at the same time. But this is part of our morning routine, I suppose.
Yeah, so
it's become our daily.
We come out and we grab coffees, and then we head back to the boat, which is what we're about to do. We'll probably shower up, and then we kind of have a family breakfast together. I think we mentioned that breakfast is supplied on board, but it's just like cereal and bread. So we've decided to just upgrade it a little bit by pitching in with 2 other couples on board to get some little upgrades. So like tomatoes, feta. What else have we got? We've got a couple of different types of breads.
We've got like oils and stuff as well, yeah.
So that's the plan now. I'm just gonna grab everything out. We love feta here. Can never have too much.
This is pretty much how every morning plays out, to be fair. We wake up, everybody has some sort of a coffee or something, a little bit of water, and then we've been leaving the port most mornings about 9ish. Some days it's been a little bit earlier, other days it's been a little bit later. And then so we get to about now, which is about 11ish, and we're almost at our swim stop for the day, that we sort of all prep breakfast. And we've been really lucky with the couples that we're on board with, because there's 2 other couples, there's 6 of us, that everybody's kind of rotating around and chipping in at different times to get the food and stuff that we need.
Little family.
Yeah, it is quite nice. It's almost ended up like we're on this like sailing trip with like another few couples and friends. What's interesting though is the dynamics of some of the other boats, because there's one boat that's got like 5 lads and they're here for drinking, partying and doing their thing. So they've kind of distributed people based on probably what they wanted to get out of it, which I think is quite nice.
Yeah, I think that's good.
We've only really driven or been underway for maybe an hour, and already the water has completely changed colour. It used to be, or at least the last few days, have been blue and super clear, almost crystal, whereas this is like, well, to steal Daniel's word, it's almost like emerald green now, which is really strange considering we're not very far away. So we're going to some stops later on today that will hopefully be a bit more beachy, at least over the next few days. But as you can see, like, it's way more overcast today, and we think this is the weather that we were trying to avoid on like day 1 when we shifted the schedule to go backwards so that we could see Paxos and anti-Paxos without all of the rain. So I reckon the next few days will be interesting to see how we navigate around all of this, but it's still sunny, so you're at a swim stop to go swimming. It's normally been too hot to come down into the salon. But the salon is
the main dining room.
It's the dining room is like our lounge area, but because the wind started to pick up now, and it's a little bit bumpy, and now we're getting little drips of rain. It actually, on one hand, you might think like, oh, that's a bit shit that it's not as sunny as it has been the last few days, but it actually gives us the chance to come and hang out down in a little area. We've got a big bowl of crisps. We've got our big Mythos beers, and then we've got a few more. Oh god, they almost popped right out. That would have been awkward. Got a few more in the freezer there, which is starting to feel a bit cold. We've been trying to buy ice every night, but we couldn't find any in the port last night.
And then all of a sudden... Cheers, guys!
Oh, cheers!
Nice, one the one. Oh, maybe they're trying to get it so it doesn't hit the... Can you see the thing?
Good morning again.
Good morning.
Day 7?
Yeah,
I kind of lost track a little
day.
bit. So we've skipped ahead a little bit because we had a really... We're smiling because it was fun for us, but it was a really interesting situation yesterday when we knew that the weather was about to turn. We were told there might be a storm coming, but we didn't really know what to expect until about 1 a.m.
Yeah,
do you think it was?
Yeah, it was 1 a.m. when we were woken up by all of the boats, well, the sound of the wind and all of the boats kind of like knocking together.
Bopping together, yeah.
And it was just like...
This is while we were in port, sorry.
We all just like got out of bed and ran up to try and like help make sure that our little home away from home was okay.
And I mean, everything was absolutely fine. Some people just literally stayed in bed and didn't do anything, but I think we were all kind of hands-on, so we jumped up and we're standing on the dock trying to keep the boat away because they had to tighten up some of the lines and everything with fenders for making sure that the boat didn't hit the dock and everything. I quite enjoyed it.
It was quite the adventure.
It was, and then we sat there for like the next, you know what, and then all of a sudden the storm just stopped. Then we sort of all sat there for like another hour until like 2 a.m. or 2:30 or something, just like
Storm
chatting
chasing.
around, like, oh, that was a bit of excitement and everything. Anyway, we're now at a new spot. This morning's swim stop is the Blue Lagoon. This is one of the, I think it's one of the most famous spots in terms of along the sort of the area of the coast that we're on at the moment, and I can understand why. It is definitely for good reason. I'd say the water here is probably bluer than we have seen, hence the name. Someone came up with something smart there. But the water is way deeper, so it kind of gives it, because you've got the white sand on the bottom and there's less sort of kind of rock and moss and everything, it makes it look really unique, kind of almost baby blue looking color. But as you can probably see, it's quite popular because of what spot that it is, because of the fame that it has. This is our first stop for the day, and we're actually heading back today, making our way back up to Corfu. Every day has kind of looked a little bit like this, so we haven't really filmed the same thing over and over and over. Bit of a taste as to what life's like anyway, but pretty much like this, shirtless, jumping around, listening to music, swimming, and having good times. So I'm gonna go in because I keep seeing loads of little fish floating around. I'm gonna see if I can find some here.
Your hair looks real cool.
It's a lot chillier today, give me a break. Oh, it's nice to finally get the sails up.
It's so relaxing when you have the sails up and the engine goes off.
Because there's 6 of us, we were able to share the load a little bit, so you're not constantly doing lines, but just in terms of the peace and quiet, it's so different, isn't it?
Yeah, when the sails aren't going whoa,
yeah, when the
from either
mast
side.
like flicks over. We had a little bit of a race with the 3 other boats, and our skipper Alex is like a sailor for the last, well, like 20 years or something like that, so it's safe to say that I think we took out that victory quite easily. He
We
was
definitely
literally
did.
doing figure 8s and stuff in and around people,
Yeah,
so
it's quite cool.
it's as cool as we'll ever feel sailing a boat, I think. But we're back.
We're back where it all started, at the marina, and it feels weird.
It does feel weird. Like it's coming to a close. So we're just going for our last coffee with our fam. We don't actually check out until tomorrow morning, but we're just going to wander down. It's about 3 o'clock now. Go and grab a coffee, grab some energy again before we most likely have a few more drinks and get some dinner later on. And sadly, that's the end of our time on board with Med Experience, and our last Fredo cappuccinos as well, because we're actually leaving Greece. So we wrapped up our final night with a bit of a crew feast, hanging out with all of the guys and saying our goodbyes and everything, and catching our final Greek sunset. Because our next stop is one of the most underrated countries that we have ever visited and that barely anybody has really shown on YouTube at all, Albania. This place is absolutely incredible. The food, the local treats, the insane history. There are abandoned buildings, loads of crazy adventures, plenty of absolute randomness, off-road exploring, making lots of new friends, and top it all off as well, ridiculously beautiful beaches.